Governor Newsom and Jennifer, thank you for being here as well. Gavin, from combating COVID and climate change and ensuring our essential workers and farm workers have the support that they need, thank you for all that you do.
The First Lady giving her vote of confidence to Governor Newsom as he faces a pending recall election. And that's where we begin with our panel this week. Let's take roll call. Board President for the Early March School District, a local advocate and state delegate for the Democratic Party, Abigail Solis is here. And conservative political commentator and KMJ contributor and also local business leader, Michael Dermanuel Jr. Good to have you both back on Sunday Morning Matters, and happy Easter to you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, I want to start with the First Lady's visit to the Valley. Obviously, it was historic. I want to get your take on really about this speech that she had geared towards farm workers, hoping that they get past the pandemic and immigration reform. Did that resonate with farm workers? Abigail, I'll start with you.
Yeah, the First Lady's visit to the Central Valley was significant. The fact that she came on Cesar Chavez Day was historic, and I really do think that she did a great job of reminding us of Cesar's message and his belief. She talked about her husband's, fight for those who often go unseen. And she did talk about, supporting an immigration policy that treats people with dignity and respect and the importance of a fair pathway to citizenship. This message absolutely resonates with farm workers, with people in the Central Valley who have been hoping for such thing for far too long. I think this was a great and historic moment for the Central Valley, and I really do hope that we can see follow through on these promises.
Michael, your thoughts. Did the speech do enough to really put confidence into farm workers that immigration reform will get done and that they're going to get past the pandemic?
Well, Alex, I'm always happy to see a First Lady or a governor come to the Valley. I think the Valley is a very neglected area of the state, because it's not densely populated compared to the other areas. And so we don't get a lot of the political heft that other parts of the state get. So I think it's good that Dr. Biden was here. I did note that she did not thank farmers in her speech. The farmers are part of the cog in the wheel of delivering food to people as well. And so, but all that aside, I share her deep appreciation for those that labor in our fields. They do essential work. They do hard work. But if you really want to get behind a farm worker, you have to understand what the biggest threat is to the farm worker, and that is a lack of water supplies in the Central Valley. And that didn't come up at all. We've run 35 trillion gallons worth of water out to the sea in the last 3 years, and now we're not getting water deliveries out to our farms. That means that eventually that's going to have some impact on our farm workers. Immigration is another issue. I ran for Congress in 1994, 27 years ago. Immigration was an issue in 1994. During that period of time, Republicans and Democrats have each had the entire federal government. Each of them failed to do something about this. So do I think the farm workers have hope based on this visit? Not if they've been paying attention for the last 3 decades. I don't think they do.
I did mention at the top here the First Lady really giving her vote of confidence to Governor Newsom. Was this really also an appearance to unite Democrats behind the governor? As we know, those final weeks of validating recall signatures is coming. Michael, I'll start with you.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, in theory, you have a lot of people in attendance there that are not citizens, so they can't even vote in a recall election. But I think symbolically, sure, why not? Come and support the governor. The recall is going to qualify. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I have noticed since over 2 million signatures have been collected, the governor seems to be working a lot harder than he was before. And anything to get him to do that, I think, is a good thing.
Abigail, your thoughts on that?
I think that the First Lady's visit was definitely genuine. She came here to talk about immigration reform. And yeah, I did think it helps that she was seen walking alongside of the governor. But, we have a governor who does support immigration reform and has, went above and beyond to support our farm workers in the Central Valley and across the state. So I think that, it doesn't hurt that they were here together, but at the same time, I think he already has strong support from those farm workers and for many people across the Central Valley.
You know, I got to mention before we try to move on here, you know, obviously a lot of people are criticizing the First Lady about some of her Spanish that was trying to be translated within her speech. Abigail, I'll start with you. Was it bothersome, or, you know, does she kind of get a pass because obviously it's not her first language?
Yeah, it obviously is not her first language. I always appreciate when someone, you know, tries to go out of their way to speak the Spanish language. Myself personally, growing up speaking Spanish, I know that it's not easy for those who didn't have the same experience. So I'll give her a pass, and I'm really glad that she tried it.
Michael, your thoughts?
I think it's petty to disparage her for attempting to speak Spanish and not doing it well. I'm sort of tired of how petty people are towards First Ladies. As you know, the previous First Lady spoke 5 languages fluently, and she was relentlessly attacked throughout the entire 4 years. I won't do that. I'm glad Mrs. Biden, I'm glad Dr. Biden is here. And listen, I don't know anybody who's against immigration reform, but everybody's been saying they're for it for 30 years almost. It hasn't happened. So until somebody has an idea that makes sense and that can be implemented properly, I'm going to sit here and say it's not going to happen.
All right, we got a lot more to come. Obviously, we covered the First Lady. There's a lot of things happening on the border with migrants and something called a Vax Pass. So our panel will return a little bit later. But coming up next, the divide on Capitol Hill. It keeps getting deeper as President Biden unveils his plan to kickstart the post-pandemic era. And it comes with a steep price tag. But could it benefit the Central Valley? Valley Congressman David Valadao joins me exclusively next.